Number 1.
Is that a new cell phone, Martin?
Yeah, I got it yesterday.
What about your old one?
Donated it. A friend works for an organization that sends used phones to people in Africa who can't afford new ones.
That's great.
Yeah, and it reduces the garbage created by discarded cell phones. Did you know they contain hazardous chemicals?
No, I didn't. Actually, I've been thinking about getting a new phone. Can I pass on my old one when I do?
Sure.
Question. What does the man imply about cell phones?
Number 2.
Patricia, I heard you sent a letter to Congressman Taylor. What's he up to this time?
He's pushing this stupid industrial development near the Fairfield wetlands.
Unbelievable.
Some friends and I are campaigning to get protected status for the wetlands. It's just like when he tried to turn the old Weller farmstead into a golf course.
I'm sure you'll get a lot of support. It's about time Taylor started helping his ordinary constituents, not just his rich friends in business.
Question. What does the man imply about Congressman Taylor? Number 3.
Richard, you look really beat. What's going on?
I was here most of the night finishing that new advertising contract. The sales department said that they need it by 9 this morning.
You finished it by yourself?
Yes, unfortunately.
That's rough. Can I get you a cup of coffee or something?
That sounds like just what the doctor ordered.
Question. What's the matter with Richard?
Number 4.
Well, we've interviewed all the candidates, and now it's decision time.
I was impressed with the last applicant. He was well qualified and very articulate, and he has copywriting experience.
That's true. He also seemed ambitious. Are you sure you can stand the competition, Ruth?
Come off it. He wasn't that good.
Actually, I think he could be future management material.
In that case, maybe you should watch your own back, Bob.
Question. What does the woman imply about the applicant?
Number 5.
Judy, I guess you have a lot of free time now that both your kids have gone away to college.
Well, definitely more, but I still manage to fill the time doing things around the house.
Don't you ever find yourself getting bored?
Not at all. There are so many things I want to do. I haven't mentioned this before, but I'm going to exhibit some of my paintings at a small gallery downtown.
That's great. Congratulations. You know, I always thought you had some hidden talent. I guess it was just a matter of getting your foot in the door.
Having my own exhibition's been something I've always dreamed about, but I never imagined it would actually happen.
Good for you. Definitely send me an invitation.
Question. What do we learn about the woman?
Number 6.
Mr. Lang isn't going to be happy when he finds this mistake in our data.
Yeah, but I don't think he'll overreact. He's usually pretty considerate.
Sure, but remember the last time we messed things up?
Yeah, but this time it's nothing major. I'm sure he'll cut us some slack.
I sure hope so. We were up all night on this.
Question. How does the woman predict the boss will react?
Number 7.
Hey, Francis, I'm glad I caught you. Do you happen to have that money I lent you?
Sorry, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. Is it okay if I give you half now and the rest after my next payday?
Seriously? You promised it wouldn't be a problem to repay me this month.
I know, but I've had a couple of unexpected expenses.
It'll put me in a bit of a bind. We all have bills to pay, you know. Still, I guess half is better than nothing.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
Question. What does the woman imply?
Number 8.
Steve, were you making photocopies for the board meeting again this morning?
Yeah, the vice president asked me to lend him a hand because his assistant's off sick.
Maybe it's none of my business, but aren't you too busy for that sort of thing? You're a section manager, not an assistant.
Maybe, but you never know when the shoe will be on the other foot.
I doubt the vice president would return the favor.
Not him necessarily, but we're all in this together, right? And taking an extra 15 minutes to make copies isn't the end of the world.
Suit yourself.
Question. What does the woman imply?
Number 9.
Man, I'm glad that meeting is over. What do you think of the proposed change for the sales department, Bev?
Honestly, I'm in shock. Each of us has spent all this time developing proficiency in a specific field to better serve clients. And now they want to assign us to customers simply based on location.
I mean, I know we sometimes have to travel a long way to get to a client, but I thought giving them the expertise they needed and building up a relationship was worth the time and mileage.
Right. Being restricted to a certain geographic area could cost us dozens of our existing client relationships. And building new ones will take time, too.
Well, it's done now. I guess we'll just have to share as much information about existing customers as we can with the guys in the other regions. I see one upside, though. Instead of just working in one specialist area, we'll get a chance to learn new things.
I suppose. But I still think we risk losing some of our big accounts if we make this switch.
Seems like management thinks the long-term savings in time and money will be worthwhile.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. But I won't be holding my breath.
Question. What is one thing the man says about the proposed change?
Number 10.
Hey, did you guys fill out the year-end review yet?
The one we used to evaluate last year's projects?
Yeah, we're supposed to turn it in by the end of this week.
I hate doing that. It's always about 10 pages long.
Me too. The instructions are so complicated.
I've already spent 2 hours on it, and I'm not even halfway through.
Well, I'm not going to spend so much time on it. It's just going to end up in a pile on our boss's desk like it always does.
I agree. I've never gotten any feedback regarding anything I've submitted.
Actually, our boss is not going to see it. It's going straight to human resources. New policy.
You mean there's a chance our suggestions about how to improve some processes might actually get heard?
Could be. They're specifically asking for feedback about project management.
In that case, it might be worth taking seriously. There's no way I'll get to it today, though.
Let's go through some of the key points over lunch tomorrow. If we present a united front, they might actually listen.
Okay.
I guess it couldn't hurt.
Question. What does the man imply about this year's review?
A. Digital relationships. There has been considerable concern about the effects of the Internet on people's social well-being. An influential study at one university found that subjects felt increasingly socially isolated the more time they spent online. This confirmed a common belief that the Internet weakens personal bonds by emphasizing the quantity of one's so-called friends over the quality of relationships. Superficial interactions are encouraged, leaving people feeling lonelier and less connected to one another. However, the university study has been the subject of some criticism. Among other problems, it focused on novice Internet users over a short duration. Many of the same subjects, when contacted years after the study ended, stated that continued Internet use had actually had a positive effect on their social well-being. More recent research suggests that Internet use may have other benefits. For example, searching for romantic partners online can lead to successful relationships. Some dating sites utilize complicated algorithms to match people with each other. This may help people find their ideal partner and form long-term romantic partnerships. Moreover, in some studies, spouses who had met online reported increased marital satisfaction and may therefore face a lower risk of divorce than those who met offline.
Questions. Number 11. What is one criticism that has been raised about the university study? Number 12. What is one thing the speaker suggests about dating sites?
B. Synthetic diamonds. Although laboratory-made diamonds have been used in machinery and cutting tools for decades, they have rarely been used for jewelry. That may be changing, however. Some laboratories have even succeeded in producing Type 2A diamonds, the purest category. This is significant, as only a very small percentage of all naturally mined diamonds are Type 2A. The new high-quality synthetic diamonds are chemically identical to their natural counterparts, and they are now challenging natural diamonds for a share of the consumer jewelry market. Quality, though, is not the only factor attracting consumers to synthetic diamonds. Mining for natural diamonds has a reputation for oppressive working conditions and environmental unsustainability. Synthetic diamond manufacturers claim their production methods avoid labor concerns and result in fewer carbon dioxide emissions than mining. However, closing diamond mines could have detrimental effects on local communities. In some developing nations, diamond mines are one of the few means of employment. Therefore, some people argue that it is better to improve pay and conditions for miners than to take away their jobs. Efforts have been made by diamond mining companies to address environmental concerns. In response to pressure from environmental groups, some diamond mining companies have adopted carbon capture technology with the aim of becoming carbon neutral.
Questions. Number 13. What do we learn about synthetic diamonds? Number 14. What is one way some diamond mining companies are trying to improve their practices?
C. Gamification. These days, many businesses are incorporating features common to games through a practice known as gamification. Customer support centers, for instance, may allow customers to award points to customer service agents based on the quality of the service they provide. The agents get rewards, such as additional pay based on the number of points they receive. Their scores are also displayed to other agents, and some managers believe this can create an atmosphere where employees try to compete with one another to satisfy customers. Some managers also believe this element of competition can make the work more enjoyable, which could prove especially useful in jobs where wages are low and employee turnover is high. Critics of gamification argue that it reduces employee morale in the long term. Research has demonstrated that the most powerful motivators for employees are independence, skill development, and the satisfaction that comes from being engaged in meaningful work. External rewards may fail to satisfy these needs. Furthermore, it could be argued that such reward systems focus too much on success. According to one expert on game design, including more possibilities for failure would encourage workers to stay more committed to their work.
Questions. Number 15. What do some managers believe gamification can do? Number 16. According to critics, what does gamification fail to address?
D. Land-based vertebrates. All land-based vertebrates, animals with a spine, are believed to have evolved from sea creatures. Scientists had long speculated that the move onto land occurred when some sea creatures' fins became stronger. Having stronger fins would have allowed creatures to move onto land to escape predators that could only swim. Recent research, however, indicates that sea creatures began to leave the ocean because they experienced a dramatic increase in eye size. This development meant that they were better equipped to spot potential food sources, like insects, on land, and it triggered a transition to searching out such prey. Another evolutionary adaptation involving vision coincided with the move to land. The eyes of some creatures began moving toward the tops of their heads. This would not have benefited creatures when looking through water, as water restricts visual range. But the change would have allowed them to see more clearly when above the surface. These developments in visual ability may also have contributed to a change in neural circuitry. Such a change may have helped land-based vertebrates to develop skills such as planning when they hunted, rather than relying solely on quick reaction times.
Questions. Number 17. According to recent research, what caused sea creatures to move onto land? Number 18. What does the speaker say about the development of land-based vertebrates? E. Masking war injuries. World War I was brutal in many ways. The use of machine guns and other powerful weapons caused terrible destruction. In addition, much of the fighting took place in long, deep ditches known as trenches. Although trenches protected soldiers' bodies, their heads were often exposed, leaving them vulnerable to machine gun and sniper fire. As a result, many soldiers suffered injuries to their faces. In contrast to previous wars, however, advancements in surgical techniques allowed increased survival rates for those with serious wounds. Still, many soldiers were left with facial injuries for life, and some felt ashamed of their injuries. Around the same time, the field of cosmetic surgery was emerging. Artists began helping injured soldiers by creating facial parts made from metal, including complete masks made from thin sheets of copper. Sculptor Anna Coleman Ladd became famous for her mask-making skills. She took great care to ensure that the features on her masks were accurate and that the color matched the patient's skin color exactly. She was able to create a new face that was amazingly similar to the original by using photos of the victims before they were injured. These developments gave many soldiers the confidence to resume productive lives.
Questions. Number 19. What is one way that World War I was different from previous conflicts? Number 20. What is true of Anna Coleman Ladd?
F. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 21.
Welcome to the conference. Due to increased security, we ask that you keep your conference pass with you at all times. If you are just arriving, please proceed directly to reception to check in and receive your pass. Valid ID will be required. Australian nationals may present any government-issued ID, such as a driver's license. For international attendees, a valid passport will be required. If you do not have your passport with you, an international driver's license is acceptable, but you will first need to fill in some additional forms to confirm your personal details. These are available at the security desk. Please note that a company business card will not be accepted as a valid ID. We ask for your patience while these security checks are being completed. Thank you for your cooperation and understanding.
Now mark your answer on your answer sheet.
G. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 22.
We've checked your vehicle. You said a warning light sometimes tells you to check the engine. The problem seems to be aging engine coils. If they're faulty, the engine will sometimes misfire or stall. I'd recommend getting those changed now. They could be a safety hazard, especially if you'll be on the road for long periods. We also checked your oxygen sensor, which could fail to detect toxic emissions if it's worn out, but it's working. We also noticed that your wheel alignment was off. This could have been very dangerous, so we went ahead and adjusted that for you. Your brake cables are in good shape and shouldn't need any repairs for the time being. It's been a while since you replaced the brake pads though, so next time you bring the car in, you might want to consider getting that done.
Now, mark your answer on your answer sheet.
H. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 23.
We offer several options. Introduction to German is held on Mondays from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. and runs from June 1st to July 15th. We also offer Basic German for Travel on Wednesdays and Saturdays from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. This is a 1-month course and begins from the first of each month. You'd need to attend both sessions each week. Of course, the fastest way to learn a language is through immersion, and our 3-week intensive German course beginning this month will get you speaking the language in no time, with a class every weekday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Finally, there's our private German online course. This beginner's course costs more than group classes, but lessons can be arranged to fit your schedule. And no matter which course you choose, you are welcome to attend our open conversation sessions on Saturday afternoons from noon to 4 p.m.
Now mark your answer on your answer sheet.
I. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 24.
Hi, great news. GP Industries wants us to come up with a whole new image for them, and you're my first choice to head the project. I know you're currently committed to the museum project, so it's up to you whether to stay on that or take this on. The President will keep a close eye on this new project, so it would be a good opportunity to get her attention, especially with performance reviews coming up in a couple of months. Maybe your assistant could step up and replace you on the museum project if he's already involved? If not, the museum director wouldn't be happy about any staff changes this late in the game, so I'd recommend playing it safe. We don't want to jeopardize the chances of future work with the museum, and I'm sure you'll have other opportunities to impress the President.
Now, mark your answer on your answer sheet.
J. You have 10 seconds to read the situation and question number 25.
Okay, our standard fit program, priced at $200, uses precise measurements to make sure your bike's geometry and setup are appropriate for standard use. The dynamic fit program, which is $250, measures your power output on a test bike with high precision. We work from those results to make adjustments that will give you maximum power. The biomechanical tuning service for $350 includes the key features of those two programs and adds data capture and video analysis to fine-tune your ride. This really helps with the positioning of the seat and your shoes so your feet lock into your pedals at the optimal angle. Finally, the Perfect Fit Tutor also offers a premium tuning service performed by our trained physiotherapist. She'll analyze your movements to spot physical problems affecting your riding technique and give you exercises to address them. That option's normally $550, but is discounted by $50 right now.
Now, mark your answer on your answer sheet.
This is an interview with Christine Baker, a graduate student and teaching assistant at a university.
Welcome to Voices on Campus. Christine, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, could you tell us a little about what you do as a teaching assistant?
Well, I help teach small seminar classes, focusing on specific areas the students are working on.
What do you enjoy most about it?
Well, the students come from diverse ethnic, cultural, and religious backgrounds, so there are a lot of interesting and sometimes heated debates in the seminars. Plus, I feel like a sort of minor celebrity. I teach about 80 students over the course of each semester, and now everywhere I go on campus, somebody recognizes me. I've met all kinds of people I wouldn't have gotten to know otherwise.
That's great. And what would you say are the biggest challenges you face in your job?
Well, to be honest, it's taken a while to get used to evaluating the students' writing assignments. Fortunately, the professors have helped me get a good handle on grading procedures. Sometimes, though, students question their grades. Usually I can defend the scores I give, but at first, I found myself changing grades more often than I would have liked. So a skill I had to work on was applying each professor's grading criteria consistently and not being influenced by other factors. Things like whether I agreed with the argument the student was making in the paper. I have to put my feelings about the content aside and focus on whether the paper meets the criteria for the assignment. That's made things a lot easier.
Interesting. So, what advice would you give to new teaching assistants?
Well, when I started teaching, I was intimidated by the things people told me. Stuff like, never let the students know you're nervous, and never apologize. I second-guessed myself sometimes, because I really wanted to measure up to what I imagined their standards for a teacher were. But quite often the students would say they were really getting a lot out of my seminars. So I gradually learned that for the students, the seminars are more about the material they're there to learn and less about the person that's helping them to learn it. I would say that the key is to be thoroughly familiar with the material beforehand. Not just having a firm grasp on it yourself, but making sure you can convey what's in your head to a group of students, some of whom will be very quick on the uptake. Anyway, when I began focusing on the students' needs rather than my own worries, things started going a lot better.
That sounds like good advice. Thanks for sharing your experiences with us today, Christine.
It was my pleasure.
Questions. Number 26. What does Christine say about grading students' writing assignments? Number 27. What does Christine say is one important thing for teaching assistants to do?